Hello and welcome. This is Jim Kaufman with Rankin Technical College. I wanted to go over jQuery. jQuery is a very popular framework that's been around since like 2006. Very popular, and I kind of want to go through that a little bit. We're not going to have any assignments related to jQuery in this course right now, but I did want to go over it a little bit. So jQuery is a fast, small, and feature-rich JavaScript library. It simplifies things like HTML document traversal, manipulation, event handling, animation, and Ajax. We haven't talked about Ajax, I don't believe, and basically Ajax is really just about making a request from your JavaScript to get some data to update your page. And so what you can do is just update pieces of your page without reloading the whole page, and you can basically make a Ajax request to some backend service somewhere. Okay. So the latest version as of this presentation is jQuery 3.7.1. I know that back in February of this year, 2024, I believe that there was a beta version of jQuery 4.0 released. It's not a stable release yet. It's not the official release. But there's been a lot of comments I hear about it being a lot of positive comments about it. So we'll just have to see how that develops. There's some reasons why jQuery is not really necessarily for everyone. Depends on what you're doing, and we're going to kind of go into that a little bit. Okay. So why learn jQuery? It kind of simplifies a lot of the JavaScript programming you do. It's a lot more concise than doing a lot of the other JavaScript. And we'll take a look at some examples of that. The biggest thing about jQuery, when jQuery was released back in 2006, probably the biggest benefit of it was its cross-browser compatibility. And in recent times, I know we talked about before, in modern times here, cross browsers is not as big of an issue as it once was. So it's not as big as a benefit, and that was probably one of the biggest benefits of jQuery back some years ago. Okay, it's very well documented. It has extensive documentation, well documented. It's supported by a large community. There's also a lot of different plugins that you can actually just bring into your code, and to provide some different plugin functionality without you having to write code. There's a big library of plugins that are available. Here they're saying it's also optimized for performance. But there are some, even though it's saying it's optimized for performance, there are some performance issues with jQuery, and we'll kind of talk about that here in a little bit as well. So probably one of the biggest reasons to learn jQuery, so as of December of 2023, jQuery is used by 94.5% of web pages that use a JavaScript library, which is like 77% of all web pages. This makes it the most widely used JavaScript library, with at least 3 to 4 times more usage than any other library. jQuery is also still popular with developers in 2024 due to its ease in use and streamlining attributes. So we're going to go over some other things here, kind of to kind of explain why there's it may not always be the correct choice. So jQuery was a groundbreaking library when it came out, and but its relevance has diminished in recent years. And kind of the reason for that is there's a lot of other new frameworks, web frameworks that are out there, and a lot of them, some of them don't work with jQuery. jQuery, like I just said earlier, jQuery really was about the whole cross-browser compatibility. It does make things some things easier to use as well. But really, the biggest benefit was that cross-browser compatibility, and since that isn't important, and also JavaScript, the different versions of JavaScript have evolved over the years. So some of the things that jQuery was doing was kind of really hard to do in JavaScript. So so a lot of people turn to using the jQuery library, but has times gone by here, there's a lot more functions and functionality that JavaScript has now that kind of takes care of a lot of those things. So here I want to also show you something here. So back in 1999, the version of JavaScript, the ES3, was released in 1999. And as you can see, from 1999 all the way to 2009, there was not another release. So during this time period, 10 years, there's a lot of JavaScript libraries came on the scene. And so what's kind of happened once 2009 came, people were still using those libraries, but as time's gone on, there's been a lot more JavaScript changes with the JavaScript libraries, and as far as the JavaScript specification, I should say, a lot of changes with the specification, and so a lot of what jQuery was doing, wasn't as relevant. So, a lot of companies will, when they build things, they use certain libraries. They're not going to change them overnight and very quickly. And especially, when they've already built a whole bunch of things with one framework, they tend to continue with that unless they find a real reason to stop doing that. So that's kind of how that happens, where you've got so many websites that use jQuery. And now, and so that's how it still is. But, a lot of the newer stuff, is not jQuery. So, like we said multiple times here, the biggest thing for jQuery is its cross-browser compatibility. Very wide adoption of jQuery. And as you can see here, it kind of mentions legacy projects, right? So there's a lot of projects that still use it. So, it's still a valuable tool and good to understand if you go get a job at any large company, or, it might not necessarily be a large company, but many companies are still going to be using jQuery. So basically, the case against it, it's just basically saying with modern JavaScript and browser APIs, they offer many of the features that jQuery provided from the beginning. And often it's with better performance and smaller footprints. And what we were saying about better performance is basically when, a lot of times when you've got a library, that library, what it is it's code that sits on top of code. It's code that sits on top of, other JavaScript code, which is basically the specification, right? And so when you're doing that, that's kind of called abstraction. You're abstracting the lower level details of all the JavaScript code you have. And you have that way, like with jQuery, you have smaller little things, but that abstraction still has to run all that code underneath. So sometimes that can really affect performance. And also talk about smaller footprints is because basically when you use jQuery, you've got to bring in that whole, you have to bring in the whole library. You have to bring in all that JavaScript code into your web page before you can use it, right? So, with using just native JavaScript, you don't have to do that. It's already there. You already have your JavaScript engine and everything else, so you don't have to worry about all that, right? And like I just said, you've got the extra layer abstraction, which can lead to performance issues. This article is kind of going through that relying on it heavily can hinder developers from learning modded JavaScript, which is kind of like I was saying earlier. There's some of these frameworks that are available, and these frameworks kind of lean on this more modern JavaScript, and you can't necessarily use jQuery with it. So it's kind of an interesting thing they're saying there is basically by using jQuery, you're missing out on learning how to the new modern JavaScript where it can affect your skills and ability to do some of the more common newer frameworks. And they're just basically saying here jQuery is still useful for specific scenarios. And there's just a lot of legacy projects that are still using it. So just kind of wanted to go through that, kind of to give you a little idea, a little background on, what it is, why would you use it, why you wouldn't use it, and I hope that helps you a little bit. So we're going to go ahead and go through some examples here. First thing to note is, as you can see here, we've got the script tag, and basically we've got this jQuery. This is the jQuery min file, which comes from the official jQuery website. All right, and so here, let me just. I'm sure you've seen other min files, but we'll just take a look. So here's basically the jQuery library. So, and like I said a little bit earlier, obviously to be able to use jQuery, you're gonna have to pull this all into your web page to be able to use it, right? What's next here? So, okay, so we're gonna go ahead and start looking at some of the code here. So we've I know some of the exercises we've done, some of the assignments. We're used to this add event listener. Basically this is to make sure that the DOM content, the web page has been loaded before we do anything, right? So basically this here is the same as this here. This is how jQuery does it. Document.ready. That's how they do this. So this is the jQuery way, and this is just basically the native JavaScript specification way down here. Okay. I did want to bring up about the $sign here. So what this $sign means is, I know that we've had some examples where we've created selectors, and we actually assign that selector to a $sign, just to make it simpler, right? So basically, jQuery's kind of done the same thing, but so in jQuery, jQuery uses this $sign, and the way it uses this is basically the $sign is the same thing as that. So if you look over here on the right, we got this text will turn blue. So it's still blue right now. Basically, we get rid of jQuery here and save it. Obviously, it won't. If we use a $sign, that's fine. So either way, we have to use a $sign or that, and it will work. So basically, that $sign replaces using jQuery like that, okay? So this first example here, this is how you would go ahead and turn a text blue. Basically, you're just saying for the p tag, if it equals 1, so basically this is the second one in the list, right? It's going to be 0 based. So the first p tag over here on the right in the browser, open the console. This is actually the first p tag. The second p tag is here, and so we have a 1 here, and that will turn that blue, right? If I change that, just change this to 0 so we can see it. See, it's turned this first one to blue that time, right? So this, just to kind of show you, this is similar. This is how you do it in native, right? So this is a little longer, right? So, this is one of the benefits of jQuery. It's nice, short, concise. It kind of makes a lot more sense. It's a little easier to understand. So there's some definitely some strong benefits in using jQuery, right? So here on this example 3 here, we got event handling, and this is how we do a click of a button. We do this function here. Button was clicked. So go ahead and click it here. It's okay. So this is how jQuery does a button. And so this would be similar to what? This is how we do this. Just using, the basic native JavaScript, right? Define a button and then we do it like that, right? Obviously you can string this together and, save a little bit here, but obviously the jQuery way is much more concise. So here, example 4, this is how you hide and show elements. So it's basically, and actually this is going to be all p tags, hide, and almost all of this page is p tags. So if you see, I could hide paragraphs. There's hiding a lot of them, right? There's a lot on here. Show paragraphs, hide paragraphs. So basically, one button for hide, one for show. Now what a toggle is, a toggle just toggles it. It's either hidden or it's displayed. And so you just click it, and if it's already hidden, it will display it. If it's already displayed, it will hide it. So right here on the right-hand side in the browser, we'll click toggle paragraphs, and it's clicking again. So each time you click it, it'll either be displayed or hidden. Fade in, fade out. Here it's just functionality, a little bit of animation, I guess, a functionality to fade something in and fade it out. As you can see, it's kind of slowly coming in and slowly going out. It's a little kind of fast, I guess, still, but there is some fading going on there. Okay. This is a slide up, slide down. So here we're going to go ahead and slide this up. Here we slide it down. Basically kind of like accordion style, right? Adding or removing classes. So here you basically can, add a class on your tag. So here we're highlighting each one, right? And then we remove our class, we're adding our class, removing our class. And then we've got this animate here. And if you recall before, we talked about opacity. And basically opacity refers to the degree of transparency of an element on a web page. So, it's a CSS, so the CSS property can manipulate using JavaScript to create visual effects. So on this case, we've got our animate div. As you can see, this is going to move over, and it's going to, it's going to become a little more transparent when we click this. It becomes a little more transparent. We got to refresh it, put it back. So there's that. And then this last one here, example 10, this is basically, I kind of mentioned a little earlier. So basically what Ajax is it's you're able to make you can make a background request, so to speak. You can have some JavaScript that could go make a call while you're looking at the web page. Everything's on your web page, and you could just update a portion of your web page. You could you could update your whole web page as well, but it can be used also just to update a small portion of your website. And so Ajax is a very well-known technology to use for doing that. Okay. So that's all I have. I just kind of wanted to do a quick demonstration and overview of jQuery. And just want you to recognize there's, if you get a job in the job market, there's probably a good chance that you'll end up running into some jQuery code at some point in time. Thank you very much and have a good day.